Hello everybody, my name again is Mercedes, and I am presenting my behaviorist biography on Dr. A. or Anthony Charles Catania. So who is this behaviorist? So Dr. Catania was born on June 22nd, 1936, and he still lives today. According to his curriculum vitae, he is still active in writing papers. So his last paper was written in 2018, and he's been active since 1961. Some distinctions I found that were important about regarding who he is include he was the president of the Association for Behavior Analysis International. He is the author of 10 books, including an important textbook called Learning. He is a fellow in Divisions 3, 25, and 28. He is a Fulbright Senior Research Award winner. And he was also considered an outstanding contributor to Behavior Analysis Award from the California Association for Behavior Analysis. And his educational background, as you can see in some of the pictures I put up, are Columbia College, this is where he did his undergrad, then Columbia University for his master's, and then Harvard University for his PhD. And then UMBC, which is very, very local, that's where he retired, and that's where he also founded their master's program in applied behavior analysis, and that's him right there in the middle. So a little bit of his pertinent works. Over the course of his life, he's written or contributed to over 200 works in total, but I chose just the few that are going to be incorporated into my paper. The first piece of work that he wrote was the Concurrent Performances, a Baseline for the Study of Reinforcement Magnitude, and that was written in 1963. And in that research paper, he discusses that concurrent procedures are useful when trying to study variables that seem to have no effect when seen in a continuous schedule of reinforcement. And then his next work that I'm going to talk about and use in my paper is the Concurrent Performances, Reinforcement Interaction, and Response Independence, written in 1963. And in that one, he wrote one big article regarding 2 experiments that he conducted. The first experiment was regarding reinforcement interaction, and in that he used pigeons to display that the absence of an appreciable effect of reinforcement duration on a single key responding may indicate the fact that the response rate is actually a power-up function of reinforcement duration. And then in the second experiment of that same paper, he focused on response independence, where he also used pigeons to support the theory that response rate will be maintained within a schedule, yet it will be independent of the characteristics of responding that are maintained by the other schedules of reinforcement, because he focuses on concurrent performances, so that's different schedules of reinforcement acting at the same time. The next work that I'm going to talk about is called Concurrent Operants, written in 1966. And in this one, he talks about the fact that concurrent operands must be independent, because without proper programming, the operands will become controlled by one another, so that one rate of one operand and it's making it impossible for one operand to be independent, and for the rates to actually start to depend on each other. And then the next work that I'm going to actually talk about is a quantitative analysis of the responding maintained by interval schedules of reinforcement. And in this research article written in 1968, he partnered with G.S. Reynolds to present 6 experiments where they examined the effects of variation in schedules of reinforcement and what they have on responding, and looked at the variable interval and fixed interval schedules. Lastly, learning. Learning is one of his biggest works because that is a textbook that is used in, that he pushed in his classes that he taught at UMBC, which is University of Maryland, Baltimore County. And that was, the latest edition was published in 2013. And in that, he draws parallels between human learning and animal learning. And he breaks it down by starting with behavior without learning, which is the evolutionary standpoint. And then he takes it to learning without words, which refers to animalistic behavior and learning. And then he ends with learning with words, and that's the human learning and human memory. And then my interview with him, he is still alive, but I didn't take the opportunity to email him. But the questions I would ask him would be, why were pigeons your choice of animal testing over rats? What changes, if any, have you seen in your work from now in 2019 to when you began in the 1960s? My third one would be, what is one area in behavior analysis that you wish you knew more about? My fourth one is, why do you think your work is important? And then my last one is, who is one behaviorist you still wish to work with, living or dead? And finally, why is he important? So looking at his personal bio that he wrote on the UMBC page, he described himself as a behavior analyst and experimental psychologist with special interest in learning, schedules of reinforcement, and the analysis of verbal behavior. And the approach he takes to behavior analysis, in my opinion, draws parallels between operant shaping and natural selection, especially when it comes to development in relation to verbal behavior. So that is my presentation. Hopefully you enjoy my paper as well. Hope to hear from you soon. Thanks a bunch and have a great rest of your day.